Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, it's been a week since I made any content, and well, we're out here just doing a little maintenance on a few things. Now, I've had a few irons in the fire since our last conversation and time together. You know, these workbenches, they like to get dirty, and it's always a constant struggle to keep them clean now, especially with, you know, dealing with kerosene items. They either leak or, you know, whatever. Now, here's a little, just a quick update. I've been busy, as you probably have expected. Now, there was something I was supposed to get that I wanted to share with you guys, and it was a CT ham. It was a big cold blast. Excuse me, hot blast. It was a number 2 sized hot blast, and it dated 1900, around thereabouts. It was a round tube, number 2 size hot blast CT ham. I won it on eBay for a very fair price, I think, and it was in good shape. And I haven't gotten it yet. I was supposed to receive it a week ago, Thursday. Today's Friday. A week ago, Thursday. It was supposed to land between Thursday and Friday, but then when I looked again, when it didn't come, I noticed that it showed that it was paid for, but there wasn't the little box that was ticked that it was shipped. I received no tracking number. I received actually no messages at all. I sent a message saying, hey, do you have a tracking number? I would like to see where this package is at. Have you shipped it? No answer. I wait another week. No answer. I open a case saying, this item never showed up. Where is it? I know, it agrees. Anyways, no answer. So I contact eBay, and they says, okay, well, you open the case at this time. The case will be closed on the 16th, which is tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I just want my money back, because I really don't think I'm going to see the lantern. It's over a week due. The post office has been tardy at times, but not over a week. So, yeah, that stinks, because I wanted it. It was going to be a cool lantern. I don't have a number 2 size hot blast, except for my Royal. Excuse me, I need to adjust this really quick. Except for my number 2 Royal, which is great, but it doesn't burn right, and I still need to repair it right. And so that's still a project on the pile that needs to be dealt with. However, it would have been nice to have a CT ham number 2 hot blast, but I guess the seller wasn't satisfied with the ending price. And he probably felt that it was worth more instead of what I was about to pay. Well, that I did pay. But guess what? That's what happens when you put things as a auction. If you want more money, you have a buy it now. Okay? It's enticing to put things up as an auction and hope that it attracts bidders. But if it's not a very rare lantern or a rare item, let's just say lantern for case in point, and you put it up with a, you know, $30 starting bid, you know, to me, I've sold on eBay. And if I start a lantern around that price, that's what I will accept for the lantern or item, if it sells for that. Because I won't start my bidding at 99 cents or $1.99 as they say you should do or encourage you to do to increase more bidders. Because, well, let's face it, bidders will get in a bidding war when they really want something, and some of these lanterns really aren't that rare. People want a lot of money for them. That's because they feel that they watched a video on YouTube and some woman is telling everybody that these are rare and very expensive. I'm sure some of you know who I'm talking about. Anyways, obviously that individual is incorrect in her price assessments for very common lanterns. Anyways, Dr. Lori. Anyhow, so I assume that the seller was not pleased with the end price and is being a chicken and not dealing with me up front, saying, look, I don't want to sell it anymore. I changed my mind. I'm going to refund your money and close it out. Instead, I have to bring in the heavies and get eBay involved and get my money back, because that's going to happen. I've been patient over a week waiting for this thing to appear and materialize on my doorstep. Well, it hasn't done that. So, well, guess what? I'll win, and you'll still keep the lantern, and I won't have it, and that's fine because I have other things coming that I probably want more than this. So it's not a big deal. Anyways, so that's what's been happening. So they're keeping my fun stuff and content at bay. But anyways, little update. You'll seen the regular, the Dietz regular. Yeah, well, it's a favorite lantern of mine. But this thing started burning very dirty. And it was burning fine, but it started burning dirty. And I trimmed the wick, and it would burn nice for about 20 minutes. And then it would char it up again and burn dirty. And see, the globe is very, very dirty. And yeah. Anyways, so I okay, well, you need a break. I put the regular on the shelf and thought, okay, I'm going to figure out. So I took it apart. I looked in the fountain, and there was rust. And there's things rolling around inside. And I'm like, well, okay, you know, this fountain is rusty a little bit on the inside, and it's also kind of rusty on the exterior. Let me put it in a pan. I have an enamel pot, and I just set it in there, and I put Evapo-Rust in the fountain. So I put it in a little thing so it would catch if it opened up holes, because sometimes that does happen when you have a rusty fountain inside and out. You will get holes opening up when you Evapo-Rust, because it will be, you know. Anyways, it's actually very sturdy. It didn't open up any holes overnight, so that's great. I dubbed it this morning and pitched out the old Evapo-Rust, and it was very dirty and dark, and I rinsed it out with water, and I'm going to set it in the sun so it dries and doesn't get any flash rust, and then I will add fuel again. I have a brand new wick, and it should be very happy, because I know that the air tubes were clear, because it was burning, as you well know, it was burning very well till recently. So anyways, the regular is on the mend. That's awesome. Now, I wanted to make a special video for the more common and most oftentimes overlooked Dietz high-low. Now, we see the high-low a lot. We understand its role in lantern history to a degree. There might not be a whole lot of people out there that maybe are my subscribers and who are just getting into the lantern collecting hobby that understand what the high-low was. Okay, so early on in the 1880s, the late 1880s, very early 90s, there was a lantern that was manufactured by SG&L and Dietz, and it was the number 0 tubular. Now, the number 0 tubular, that dog again, I swear. Anyways, the number 0 tubular was a very bare bones lantern, wherein you had to pinch between two loops, one on the globe plate and one on the air tube, to lift the globe to light the lantern. Because prior to that, most globe plates were stationary, and you had to insert a match through a hole in the globe plate or in the globe, actually. There's been globes that had a little hole in the glass that you could stick a match through. Some actually had a strike, you know, like a little striker, a little piece of sandpaper or whatever, so you could, as you stuck the match into the globe, it struck it and lit it so you could light the lantern that way. Some really cool early designs. I wish I had an example to show you, but you've probably seen some on Tubular Lantern Group and whatnot. But anyways, the number 0 was the very first lantern of this style, to my understanding. So there was no lift mechanism, no levers, no nothing, no transmissions, no clever designs. It was just very simple. So you put your thumb on one loop and your finger, or vice versa, and lift the globe, light it, and then lower it the same way. So that was the number 0 tubular. Well, that hung around. Then came out the square lift tubular, and that hung around through the 1890s through the early 1900s. I think they dropped about 1900 at least. I'm getting foggy, but I know that the star, the Dietz star, not the little star, but the star tubular, was identical to the square lift in all intents and purposes. So I think that replaced the square lift, and then by 1900 they kind of just phased out the whole idea of a top lift, design, except for the the mill lantern and the Dietz Acme Inspector continued to have that design for those models. But in the early 1900s, soon after the Monarch came out, we had a stripped down Monarch that we know as the Dietz Hilo. The Hilo was a contractor's lantern, and it was marketed towards contractors, city municipalities, utilities, any company or agency that used barricade lanterns for construction, whether open pit type of stuff. It was very easy to get. It was very inexpensive. It was a stripped down kerosene lantern that you could buy in large volumes for an economical price, and they worked great. They burned very sturdy, very solid flame. They had great design. So we're just going to cover the Hilo a little bit, a spotlight on the Hilo. So on the bench we have two Hilos. This is more or less what it started life out as. This is a smooth tube, round tube Dietz Hilo, circa 1910-ish, right around there. It has a final patent date of the most recent patent dates of 1908. But anyways, I found this on eBay. I got it for a very fair price, actually. But it's a round tube, and it even has the Dietz Fit-All Globe prior lock knob. I don't know if you can see that, but it's really good shape. It's got a few little dents. The air tube's got a little dent up here, but that doesn't affect the performance at all. It performs just fine. And it has the nice earlier fuel cap. So this would be right around 1910, give or take, after they made the larger filler spout. I think the earlier model than this actually had crossed wire guards, like the Monarch. So this is not the very first pattern, but this is the earliest one I have that would fit into this range. So soon after, Robert Dietz, he was a fan of the square tubes, and he insisted that the Hilo have square air tubes. You've seen this one, I've shared it before, but that's this one. So this one was manufactured for a very brief period of time, no more than 2, maybe 3 years tops. And then when Robert Dietz passed on, then the company reverted back to the round tube, where I think this one actually fits into. It could be before the square tubes or just slightly after, but all intents and purposes, this is what it looked like for the majority of the time. The square air tube was a very brief design, so it's fortunate to have one. I'm very fortunate to have one. They're not that common. But fast forward a couple of years, the 1920s roll around. They kept this design, but they added a vertical crease for rigidity. They never added the horizontal beads that we see on the Monarch or other Dietz lanterns. The Hilo only received a crease in the air tube for the entire rest of the run. Now, by the early 1930s, the globe plate changed, all in the globe wire design. So the globe guard wire was a Y for the most of the time of the Hilo's production early on. It was a cross wire guard, and then it became the Y that we see here on both examples. And then, by the early 1930s, I think 33, 34, right around there, then they started using the cross again. But I call this the H, because it's crossed, but then it drops. It crosses and drops into a square shape, and it's kind of neat. I actually like that globe guard design. It's really cool. This one's from about 1941. But it came out, this overall style came out in 1933, 34, and it continued all the way to the end of the Hilo run in 1947. So the Hilo, like I said, was used by a lot of departments, a lot of utility companies with cities. I have several that are marked Los Angeles or Pasadena. I had one recently that was for East Bay Electric Company from Oakland, and I sold that to a subscriber and Facebook friend. Also had, let's see, I also have the Los Angeles County one that I love, and I restored that one for my friend. So that was the big square tank one, and those existed from late 20s through the early 40s. I think they stopped making those right around before World War II. But anyways, they were still in service all the way through the 40s and some into the early 50s, actually. But the Hilo, every Hilo I've ever bought is a solid lantern. They are always turnkey, with some exceptions. Every single one I bought, except for maybe one, was, it needed some help. It needed to be nursed a little bit. They're pretty rugged, and for the most part, they're just amazing burners. They're very consistent. They're easy to take care of, and they really are a good lantern to have on hand for a power outage. They're easy to light. I mean, all you have to do to light one is lift the globe like that, and then light it, and then close it. I mean, see, it doesn't even want to stay up. So if you make sure you have your wick with one, you have it held up like this with one hand, and then you get your wick to where you want it, and then a lighter or a match, insert, and then drop, and there you go. You can almost do it with one hand. You can hold it just like this, see, and then light it, and then drop it, and you're good to go. It's a lot faster action than the side lift design. So I like it better, actually. I'm not gonna lie, I like that better. But it's kind of fun to know that it actually, this whole design came out in the late 1880s and existed through at least the very early 90s when the number 0 was finally turned into the square lift tubular. But anyways, well, that's going to do about for us out here today. I hope you enjoyed the content. I'm going to try and do some more videos soon. I have one more lantern coming that should be exciting to share, and stay tuned for that, and we'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.